Childhood is not from birth to a certain age. And at a certain age, the child is grown and puts away childish things. Childhood is the kingdom where nobody dies.
That's right, bloodsuckers. It's time for Breaking Dawn Part 1. Yes, the puns will continue just like my previous Twilight videos. If you haven't checked them out yet, well, you should. Otherwise, you are missing out. Bella's love triangle is quickly coming to a close, but that does not mean the adventure with sudden twists and turns are over just yet. Let's leave some suggestions on other book versus movie ideas down below.
This is totally necessary.
Nothing if not traditional.
We all knew this day would come of Bella's wedding, but there was always a small part of us wondering if she wouldn't officially walk down the aisle when we read the book the first time. I remember reading Breaking Dawn as a teenager and having so many emotions about this book. The excitement of Edward and Bella's wedding was the first on my list. But then I had some hatred and anger that suddenly this beautifully thick book was instantly cut in half with Jacob's story. I remember just being furious. Now, as an avid reader, I do enjoy this split point of view, but originally I didn't want Jacob. I wanted Bella only since I had her for so long. It was like a flower you watch grow, and then the plant next to it overwhelms it with its scent. I felt it diminished the story at first, when in reality, Stephanie Meyer includes Jacob's point of view, and it literally adds to the story's depth. We get a very important and needed viewpoint.
Weddings. They bring everyone together.
Let's break it down. We already know Bella and her struggles of growing along with Edward in her relationship. She has also been very horny towards him since like day one. But most of all, she has finally agreed to marriage. Since the beginning, she was against a labeled title of marriage because understandably her parents. And in a lot of ways, Bella struggles with self-reliance in some aspects. Granted, over time, we have watched Bella slowly place her faith in Edward for his love and Jacob's brotherly friendship, but they transformed her to have a better balance of this personal reliance. In a way, both Edward and Jacob prepared Bella for the changes that could happen in her life outside of the initial relationships by going deeper, the relationship with a child.
Yeah, I'm ready.
Jacob is our second perspective, and it was truly interesting to feel his turmoil. The turmoil of losing his long-held-out crush, losing to a vampire of Bella's affections, the loss of feeling a part of a pack, and then finding out the possible loss of his best friend. Granted, as the book proceeds, Jacob does regain his losses, but that is something we would discuss in part 2. The pure aggression we see in his actions during Bella's wedding was truly felt in the movie. In part, we see his thoughts of possible endangerment that we, both as reader and movie watcher, have not yet seen. But in a lot of ways, the Jacob section in the book is borderline tragic, and this kind of pairs up nicely with Bella's near death during birth. Literally keeps us as a reader on our feet. Yet when Jacob finds out of Bella's inbound death due to pregnancy, we see that internal war grows, even to the point of leaving his pack due to disagreements. Shortly after though, Jacob is joined by Seth and Leah Clearwater. Even though unwanted, he is truly thankful for their help and support. Bella, on the other hand, is quickly falling apart within weeks of becoming pregnant. The constant waves of sickness and the cracking of her bones becomes quite scary or even concerning in both book and movie. But to physically hear the cracks in the movie are truly scarring. We are quickly thinking, like Edward and Jacob, how do we keep Bella alive? Together. This was perfectly implied in the movie for representation of the book. Let's not forget the overall panic we had of Bella's final heartbeat, then is reborn. Which leads us to discussing the overall emotions that we have experienced. Edward gives the most touching reception speech.
With Bella, I feel like I can finally begin. No measure of time with you will be long enough. Let's start with forever.
His overall love for Bella and respect that he has for her is so clearly shown and expressed. This was well done in the movie, as this was not done in the book. The book simply mentioned the simple traditional vows and the brief details of the party partaking of the bouquet toss, enjoying cake, and then dancing.
Not offended by your choice of girl. Just my blatant lack of respect for mortality.
Bella, as she is prepping for the wedding, is borderline rude to Rosalie in her reactions, but this could also be because the preparation of her being a vampire is coming closer to being fulfilled. This could also be Bella's nervousness of the wedding, so she got a little snippy. It happens. But the overall excitement of the marriage is resonating in the preparation of the yard and people's overall expressions. Bella is clearly excited for the honeymoon, but we quickly see her getting a little panicked. Then, Edward later on distracts Bella from the naughty business with outdoor activities to the point of exhaustion. Bella, feeling off and eating weird food, quickly starts to depict Bella becoming pregnant. Even her nausea moments and realization that she could be is biting us in the neck too. Us, along with Edward, are struck still when we see the realization of the pregnancy of Bella is quickly becoming a reality. Even the cleaning lady comes across being very concerned due to past legends. But when we arrive back at home in Forks, we see the whole family, including Jacob, become very intense. We see the divisions forming in the livelihood for Bella.
Fetus isn't good for Bella. Say the word, Alice. Baby.
Carlisle, you've got to do something.
Temperatures have quickly risen in the family during this baby's development to the world. Edward and Jacob make plans to hopefully change Bella's mind and even discuss actions to take on their own lives from heartbreak. Sometimes tough love even needs to be brought out, which is directly up Jacob's alley for expressing.
What was the point of me loving you, you loving him? How was that right for anyone?
The most intense emotions we feel are soon after Jacob realizes he is losing Bella in the most unimaginable way. We sense his pain through his flashbacks and the howling he voices out.
Is that an order? Gonna make me bow down too?
I'm not ordering anyone.
Even Edward didn't seem to sulk as much in the book. He never wanted to leave Bella's side. He was mentally lost, but he never tried to truly make Bella feel bad like he did in some moments of the movie. It seemed somewhat off in the movie for his character. But as I expressed later, in some ways the movie did seem justified on how he could have been portrayed. Jacob joining Bella's wedding was much more preferred in the book. The discussion and the dancing was certainly preferred. It felt like they were true confidants in this moment. They knew their friendship energy was quickly changing, if not coming to an end. Yet, I could not get enough. I wanted it to last longer before Jacob even started to get overly emotional or even aggressive about the situation. His wording in general was certainly agreeable to me, and I wish this was used more because I might have been Team Jacob. It says in the book, "I'm going to try to remember you like this. Pretend that," Bella says, "that what? That I died?" He clenched his teeth. He was struggling with himself. It continues, "But I'll see you this way in my head. Pink cheeks, heartbeat, 2 left feet, all of that." Jacob brought his smooth game. The overall pack dynamic was really felt in this book. Their interactions, though brief, didn't feel like the story was drowning in unwanted content. We feel connected to the pack more than we have before. I mean, the first few paragraphs of Jacob's chapter is about Paul eating Doritos and imprinting on Jacob's sister. Even the extra detail that 4 of the 10 wolves were imprinted. Seeing a definite theme here on imprinting, which we do get into this first half of the book. Jacob's point of view was actually appreciated as time went on, primarily in the fact of understanding the pack's dynamic like we lightly just touched on. We physically read their thoughts and reasons along with the connection that they all felt, especially when the separation of the pack occurs between Sam and Jacob. It is explained as a form of silence occurs or even a time of peace of mind. For Jacob though, it is short-lived. Seth and Leah join Team Jacob. We really see the deep discussions and their reasons for changing their minds about the Cullens. It certainly wasn't brief. The transition of realizing Bella's new change and development makes them all fearful and quickly jump to conclusions, even if they were all thinking of the safety of the tribe. In the book, it states, "This is not something our treaty anticipated," Sam said. "This is a danger to every human in the area." It continues, "Remember, the newborn vampires we fought? Wild, violent, beyond reach of reason or restraint. Imagine one like that, but protected by the Cullens." A few pages later, Sam states, You would choose your enemies over your family." Shortly after he states this is about Bella. "She has never been the one for you. She has never chosen you, but you continue to destroy your life for her." Jacob's mind expresses, I heard the double echo of his alpha command, but it was weightless this time. It no longer applied to me. A few paragraphs later, I could see why there was never more than one alpha male in the pack. My body was responding to the challenge. I could feel the instinct to defend my claim rising in me. The primitive core of my wolf self tensed for the battle of supremacy. Honestly, the movie really shortened the amount of time Jacob was a part of the Coyote pack. We saw his first debate with the pack at the log stacks, and then he switched sides. The book took quite some time of reasoning and even seeing Bella at least twice before making his choice. The pace was really preferred in the book. It dwelled on Jacob's thoughts and reasons to leave the pack and not as a rash decision. Rosalie had more screen time than Alice in this movie, it kind of felt like. But rightfully so. Rosalie is very much on Bella's side of keeping the baby. A lot of it is because Rosalie has always wanted a family or even children for herself. Maybe in a twisted way, she wanted Bella's fragile body to give way, leaving the opportunity to have the baby as her own for eternity. On the topic of fragile bodies, Bella's birthing, though, was rushed in the book, but not with the deep discussions from Carlisle. The book seemed more along the line of safety measures, thinking of every possibility and trying to find ways of knowing more, where the movie felt like they left her open to bleed out on the birthing table, having intimate looks at each other of what they have made as Bella's heart flutters to a very slow death. Shortly after being bit by Renesmee and Rosalie takes her away, Edward is instantly on Bella with a syringe and trying to regain her heartbeat for the venom to go through her system. It felt like life was at stake, but the movie, not so much. The fluttering moments of Bella's visions changing and slow lack of connection to Earth was visually stimulating. I will give the movie that.
It's weird to be back on two legs again. And clothes. I haven't had to practice with the whole human thing.
Overall, we get quite a bit of filler moments in this movie to help expand on the story, like Edward trying to convince Bella of his past vampire life to kind of scare her of the truth behind his murderous past. Bella, in return, just reminds him of how loving he is. We also got a small glimpse of the Volturi receiving the wedding invitation and their lack of consideration to human life. We can't forget Bella's nightmare of her wedding day and the large pile of bodies as another filler moment. I really like this idea as Bella is panicking about getting married and she is concerned for her humanity when she does eventually become a vampire. Will she kill her friends? My absolute favorite filler added piece was the bit about Charlie making jokes about the graduation caps.
Ha! How creative!
Or weird.
Charlie, in my opinion, just never has enough screen time. But his brief moments of loving expressions before Bella leaves for her honeymoon was super touching, especially since the book just has him prepping and moseying around. Then later on, when he finds out she is sick, we see the physical pain he has, which is exactly what happens in the book about being concerned for her health. Luckily, he is in good company at the Blacks' home. We can't forget not only the small introduction of the Denali family, but even the fun classmates. They were invited to the wedding, and they got some justice for having their little jokes. But that was really it. They weren't hinted on much more. But they had more movie screen time than we did book time, which is understandable since Breaking Dawn is about new life as a family and a vampire, not human life. Out of the wolf pack, Leah had a moment of personal expressions on how she felt about imprinting, especially being a part of the pack with an ex-lover.
Being any kind of happy is better than being miserable about someone you can't have.
This moment of seeing her near weakness and sadness has you feeling sad for her as well. You sense her longing for affection when she just feels shunned. Her later participation with Jacob's own pack has her feeling a form of relief and a part of a family who wants and needs her. I personally felt attached to Leah in this book, but the movie helped her feel real and connected. Edward's reaction to being asked to keep the baby was in a lot of ways understandable. In a way, seeing him snap or break like this shows a vulnerable side of Edward that we don't really see often. We saw this level of vulnerability when he thought Bella had died due to his leaving. We even know he made promises to protect her, and now this is something he can't control. He's literally leaving Bella in the most vulnerable states as a human.
Do you honestly think that I could love it? Or even tolerate it if it killed you?
It's not his fault.
Because you've given me no choice!
As much as these lines coming from Edward hurt and resonate pain, in a lot of ways, his response is quite normal to this kind of trauma or moment in time. I will say the overall styles of a lot of the main moments like the wedding and honeymoon were all I could have imagined and more. It felt every bit of a fairy tale and regal as it was expressed to have been in the book. There were even some not so glorious moments like prepping for the baby. The pure disintegration of Bella's body was quite jarring, and it should have been. Even the action of her drinking the blood, not gonna lie, tad gross in comparison to the reading in the book.
Você matou essa menina. Me chega com a mão dela. Você só pode fazer mal. Morte.
I absolutely love the wolves in their natural habitat, and honestly, I wish there was more in the movie. The book used it quite often, but the slight echo of their voices while in wolf form was a little jarring, but yet seemed accurate. I do feel it was missing something. Maybe more flashes like we got when Jacob is running through the woods after seeing Bella the way she was deteriorating. I feel that would have gone along nicely with the echoing voices since Jacob expressed seeing and hearing what the pack thought. Altogether, Jacob's point of view in the movie was good, but not the full justice. They didn't fully elaborate on the buddy-up team-up between Edward and Jacob to try and save Bella's life. Or even later on when Jacob is near the snapping point of losing not only his best friend, but his only thought of why he hasn't imprinted yet. So out of anger or even mental exhaustion, he leaves town in hopes of a fresh start. A possible new love or imprinting. This depth of Jacob's snapping was what I would have liked to see, especially since he knew the transitioning into wolf form would not satisfy his physical and true emotional needs. It was nice to see that Alice had her brief talk with Jacob. I enjoyed seeing some clarity on her face from all the visions, but we didn't get enough time for her or Esme trying to provide a home for Jacob. It was lightly hinted at, but it didn't show the truly caring Esme that we all know she is as a trait. Truly, the Cullens, especially Daddy Carlisle, did not get a lot of screen time, which is a slight bummer. But it does redeem itself in the next movie, so I can't wait.
What was that? Just say something else. He likes the sound of your voice.
We are inching ever closer to the conclusion of our Twilight book versus movie series. I know, you enjoy my puns. I will be honest, I am a little bummed of moving on from my favorite book series, but I'm still excited for the next book adventure to chat about. Don't forget to leave some suggestions below on other book ideas. Would you have wanted more screen time of Alice or even Esme trying to feed Jacob and provide him clothing? Rosalie certainly got her moment. Does anyone else think that if you're getting married at 18, you're pregnant? Please remember to keep your responses kind. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Follow us on our Instagram account to do a book versus movie poll. We also have Twitter for video updates and TikTok for our reviews and other fun videos. Until next time, stay nerdy and keep binging.